This is Francesco Abruzzino with the Uncensored Report. I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing here in Russia and the influence they may or may not have had within our hacking system. Some truths and lies out there. You know, it all started out with the liberal progressive group out there. Basically, it's first, think about it. Last week it was all about fake news. Oh, the fake news. And then fake news, the so-called fake news, which is new news or new media, alternative media, came back and started noting all the fake news stories that major media was putting out, even some last week, and they backed off that. They said, okay, we can't do that. We can't state that fake news was being used on social media to steal the race. They even tried the recount, which failed, and actually got that guy there on the screen, even more votes. So now they're back to the old Russian devil, the old Russian dog. Look, folks, we had a great relationship with Russia, and it went bad after the Ukraine. If you follow the news and you don't just listen to major media, you know that the assistant ambassador, what was her name, Nuland, was caught on a phone call talking about the billions that we are funneling to the group that was trying to overthrow the government in the Ukraine. Okay, that's the first thing. Then she was also caught talking about the puppet government she wanted to install. And ever since that puppet government's been installed, guess who has taken all their golds and all their riches, and the U.S. And guess whose son has taken over one of the largest oil companies in Ukraine? Joe Biden. Oh, Joe, buddy Joe. But nobody knows about that. You know, it's funny, you hear now about this guy that might be Secretary of State. It's not proven yet, so it's fake news until he says something. But that guy, they're all upset over his relations to oil. What about Joe Biden's son out there taking over the oil in the Ukraine? You never hear about that. That's when it got upset. And then the U.S. started saying, oh, Russia's got troops in the Ukraine. Well, that was because of a 96, I think it was 96 agreement where they could have 20, 30,000 troops in the Ukraine. Crimea has always been a part of the Russia, and that's part of the story that's not being out there. And they're building Russia into this big bad dog, and they got their problems. I'm not going to lionize Putin or the Russian government, but they're being attacked for the wrong reason. There's nobody out there. There's no proof. You got Times, the New York Times and the Washington Post came out and said, Secret Services, 17 of them are saying that it was a hack job by the Russians without a dime of proof, a shred of evidence. Then you got people contacting the FBI and these other groups, and they're saying, sorry, we don't know what you're talking about. There's no shred of evidence of it. And so Trump came out and said, where's the evidence? It's a big lie. What, do I believe the CIA with all the crap they've been in? And it's no accident that we have Barack Obama and Clinton and members of the U.S. Senate on both sides because, McCain, it's amazing the story and the belief that people have because of what major media reports about him. He actually had a life of luxury almost when he was in captivity in Vietnam as he helped the Viet Cong as he ratted out people. This guy's not as good as he says he is. He's evil, man. He's got pictures of him with al-Nusra giving him weapons. Give me a break on McCain. You got major media. Everybody out there is Russian hacking. You know, every news source out there, all the major media, it's Russian hacking. Americans been breathlessly telling everyone, hey, the CIA concluded this. We got to trust the CIA. Oh, they're trustworthy. And what they're trying to validate is that somebody intervened in the United States elections. And are they trying to do that so they can disqualify Donald Trump for a re-election? That's the question. The implications of Russia trying to interfere into our elections is significant. That they could have unfairly altered the outcome of the election. Unfairly altered it so that Donald Trump could win. And that because of that, this victory is not legitimate. And that opens the doors up to all kinds of possibilities by the Democratic Party. And the Republican rhinos out there that don't like Trump because he's not for wars and, pushing the military-industrial complex views and concepts out there and just going after every country. Regime change. And if you think about it, for those who have been wondering if the establishment was going to attempt to steal this election from Trump before the inauguration, this may be it. And there's several ways they could do it. They started with all these assaults through the headlines, pushing it through progressive papers, like I said, New York Times and Washington Post. And more specifically, they're out there saying that the CIA is the primary source of the intelligence without showing a shred of evidence out there to anybody. And they're saying, don't worry. We need to trust the experts. Trust the CIA. I mean, how How funny is that one? So you had 4 members of the Senate come out. 2 Dems, 2 Republicans. And the Republicans are people, you know, like that Lindsey Graham idiot and John McCain, that they don't want anything to do with Trump. They don't want him in that presidency. Saying, oh, this is a concern. We need to look at it. Comes on the heels of Barack Obama saying, I want the intelligence agencies to get all this gathered. Let me know if the Russians hacked our system, and I want it before I get out of office. Why does he need it before he gets out of office? Why can't he get it when Trump's in there so Trump can handle it? You got to think about it. And it's going to be headed up by James Clapper, the guy that sat there like this when he was lying in front of Congress. God, what was that about? It was so horrifying. Oh, I can't remember. He was sitting there lying, and it was so obvious. You could just see it on his face. You know, why is there so much urgency in this? Is it because the information that they want to gather, they want to use it for political purposes? You know, some are already suggesting that there's clear evidence of unfair Russian intervention. Yet we haven't seen it. Former CIA agent Bob Barr, he stated that the evidence is there. I don't see any of it. And any other way to vote, he basically says, I don't see any other way to vote but to have elections again. Can you imagine the uproar there would be? You think the liberals are crazy? Try to take away the presidency from Trump and see what the patriots are going to do. It's going to be a mess. But I personally don't think it'll happen. I got to believe in our system. But they're trying it. They're trying to sway the Electoral College. They're out there threatening these guys. You already got one Republican that says, hey, I'm not voting for him, and there's several that aren't going to either. But even if Trump gets through this electoral process, on January 6th, the Electoral College vote needs to go before the Congress. There's a joint session basically out there. They look at the electoral counts, and they basically, what used to be a formality, they go through and say, yeah, this is good, this isn't good. But they could use their power there. At least one member of the House and one member of the Senate could submit objections in writing to the electoral vote count in this joint session. And then guess what? Got to go for a re-election. Then our whole system is in turmoil. Even if Donald Trump is out there, he's received over 300 electoral votes, I think, yesterday, he said. Even if he gets at least 270 with everything, he could still be denied the presidency by Congress. If he gets someone like McCain on there and some other rhino that just doesn't like him, and they say, we want to recount our Democrat, we don't trust this electoral count, we need to do something, could there be new elections? Could Congress stop the presidency from moving forward? If they can't present compelling evidence that Russian interference unfairly altered the outcome of the elections, perhaps members of Congress can be convinced to go in there and vote to invalidate this guy's presidency. And like I said, I don't think it'll happen, but with Trump, you never know. Nothing seems normal. But it should be apparent that making this such a huge issue, this claim that they are good of the country, that's how they get everything by. We're doing it for the good of the country. Your safety, the Patriot Act. We're doing it for the good of the people, your safety. Of America, buy into it and we allow it to happen. Most ignore it. One thing I learned running for this local mayor thing is the people don't care. They're asleep. Most people don't give a damn to the issues. They don't. So don't believe them. Do they actually intend to steal the election? That's what I'm thinking. So keep all that in mind, and remember, look at all news sources. Just don't look at major media. There's a ton of news sources out there, and you could see. If you want to be a sheep and just follow major media, that's fine, but look at everything. It'll bring doubt. It'll make you wondering. It'll make you wonder, is this true? Think about it, folks. There's a lot more to it. Research a lot of the information I just said to you. You can find it on previous shows. This has been Francesco Abruzzino with the Uncensored Report.